The signal at night. A quiet house stands alone under a cold night sky. A dim upstairs window hints at life within. Inside, Sarah sits alone with her old radio. Narrator: Sarah loved old radio shows at night. She adjusts the dial, listening for something familiar. Narrator: but tonight, something felt different. Static whispers through the dimly lit room. Then, a delicate melody begins to play. Narrator: the radio would connect her to something beyond. Shadows shift as the melody lingers in the air. Sarah leans closer, almost holding her breath. Soft music persists, and the night seems to listen back. Whisper, on frequency 9. Sarah nudges the radio dial, chasing a clearer station. The music stutters, breaks, and then falls to silence. A faint whisper bleeds into the static-laced silence. Whisper on radio, "Can you hear me?" Sarah freezes, fingers hovering in the cold light. Her eyes widen, pulse quickening in the dim cabin. She glances at the rear view, breath shallow and tight. Sarah gathers herself, voice tight with nerves. Sarah whispers, "Who's there?" into the dim cabin. She swallows. "Is this some prank?" The cabin holds its breath, waiting for an answer. Something listens back from the dark beyond the glass. Whisper on a dead channel. Sarah freezes as the radio's weak light flickers against her face. A deep voice from the radio, "I see you," sitting alone, listening. Sarah's breath tightens. She reaches toward the radio with a shaky hand. She snaps the radio off. The room falls into deep, brittle darkness. Silence swallows the room. Sarah stares into the dark, not blinking. A breathy whisper returns, though the radio stays dead and dark. Her gaze lifts, as if the whisper floats above and behind her. She turns her body, attentive, as if something stands just out of sight. She edges backward until the table presses lightly against her hip. Her eyes dart. There is no source, only dark corners and dust. The whisper seems to breathe at her ear without lips, without body. Sarah steels herself, facing the blackness as if it were a face. Static in the hall. The lights stutter as shadows crawl along the walls. What she thought was just static was a call from the unseen. The hallway seems longer with each blink of light. A heavy breath grazes the back of her neck. She turns, searching the trembling dark. Nothing moves, only the light keeps stuttering. The intercom crackles with low, broken static. She steadies her breath, listening for words inside noise. The hall stretches, as if leaning closer to her. Breathing swells behind her again, closer, wetter. She spins just walls, doors, and a shivering bulb. Nothing there, but the shadows keep reaching. The claiming frequency. Curtains ripple, even though every window is shut. Sarah wraps her arms tight, breath misting in the cold. She grabs her phone, fingers trembling for a lifeline. She dials her mother's number and lifts the phone to her ear. Silence answers only a flat, lifeless connection. She lowers the phone, realizing the line is dead. A sudden spark of light flickers across the radio's dial. Sarah freezes, eyes darting to the radio on the shelf. The radio clicks alive, the room chills even deeper. Sarah edges closer, breath shallow, drawn against her will. A whisper forms in the static, coalescing into words. Radio voice, you belong to me now. Leave or suffer. Sarah's fingers curl as a cold shudder runs through her body. Her hands contort, joints bending in impossible angles. A chill fog seems to gather around the lamplit room. Sarah's lips move, but the voice feels wrong, ancient. Words spill in a language no one recognizes. The timbre drops, a shadow settling in her words. Her eyes fix forward. The room seems to hold its breath. Leave or suffer, the voice rumbles from inside her. The light flickers, colors tearing at the edges of the room. Sarah clutches at her head as the pressure builds. A raw scream tears from her, the room trembling. For a heartbeat, she hangs silent, breath shivering in the light. The mirror that answered back. Sarah senses a cold presence as the house falls utterly still. Her pupils flood with black, swallowing the last glint of light. Compelled, she turns toward the mirror at the end of the hall. Her footsteps drag, as if the hallway had thickened. She stops inches from the mirror, breath barely moving. But the reflection is wrong. It is not Sarah anymore. The figure stares back, emptiness shaped into a presence. A chill crawls up her spine. The room feels narrower. She blinks, but the darkness in her eyes does not change. The mirror shows only the thing that wears her shape. Sarah was no longer alone. Her body was no longer her own. Something watches from inside the glass, and from within her. Whispers in the study. Sarah claws at her arms, desperate to break the unseen grip. She whispers broken verses, trying to steady her breath. Your prayers cannot save you, the voice taunts from within. The study erupts. Furniture shudders and books crash down. Vessel of the Jinn. Sarah crumples to the cold floor as the radio erupts with static. The radio spits sparks as darkness gathers in the corners. Shadows uncoil, reaching towards Sarah's trembling hands. Her body lifts, as if the air itself grips her spine. The room bends, light fractures along the blind's hard stripes. Sarah's scream catches, her feet barely touch the earth. A shadowed silhouette blooms behind her like a second spine. The radio's eye burns greener, drenching her in venom light. Dust hangs like stars as darkness threads into her ribs. The narrator's verdict weighs heavy, colder than the night. Her body steadies in the air, the room surrenders to it. The Jinn had found its vessel, and it was never leaving. Morning whisper. Sunlight creeps across the floor toward the bed. Sarah sits upright, calm, framed by morning glow. The radio hums softly on the nightstand. Her black eyes reflect the window's pale light. She tilts her head, as if listening to something. Sunlight sharpens, cutting the bed into pale geometry. Her smile remains, unshaken by the bright morning. In the light, the radio's tiny glow seems to insist. She turns slightly toward the nightstand, still smiling. The window's glow paints her profile in cold clarity. Next is you, the whisper curls from the radio. She stares ahead, unblinking, as the light holds.